Doing the right thing is always the right thing. Doing it when it's hard is even more important. That was a pull quote from an interview I just did earlier this week with the Surviving Humanity podcast. It's live now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can check it out to hear the background and the whole story. I tell a great story about business ethics. And in this case, a boss who did not have ethics, but I kept mine about me. You can go hear that story on that podcast because I don't want to tell you that story again here. I want to get into the background and about having personal ethics, about keeping your ethics and ethical decision-making about you when you're faced with situations in life, how hard it can be, how scary it can be, how unsure and unsettling it can be, how hard it is to make tough decisions. There's no exact rule book for this. There are things that you should never do, things that are illegal, but things that are closer to more immoral or unethical, especially when it comes to business, is often shrouded in a gray area, which makes it harder to make those decisions. But once you begin the process of making hard decisions, of holding yourself to very high ethical and moral standards, when you start thinking about the whole process and not just saying yes or no to something or the immediate gratification of what it is you're trying to accomplish, but instead be able to take a step back or three, look at the big picture, and evaluate how this fits into your life, how it fits into your relationships, how it's going to affect you moving forward, your reputation, your ability to do things in the future, as opposed to that immediate gratification. And then you'll have the ability to be firm, be direct, be decisive when you have to make hard decisions. Now, sometimes people will call this things like karma or synergy or even just luck. The universe providing whatever you want to look at it, whatever name you want to put on it. It doesn't matter what term you use for it. But doing the right thing is always the right thing, but it is hard to do because there is a potential for you to miss out on an opportunity to maybe make someone angry who you would like to get along with, maybe not putting you in a position that you wish to be in, but may not be ready for yet, etc. There are factors that go into every decision-making process, but doing the right thing is always the right thing. This can be hard to say no to the wrong thing. It can be very easy to say yes to the wrong thing and then get caught up into the situation where now you have to figure out how to deal with it. I'm not giving you an excuse. I'm telling you that you need to work through a process of being able to say no to the wrong things so that you can in the future say yes to the right things. And in fact, doing it when it's hard is more important because the effect on you, the negative effect of doing the wrong thing or of not doing the right thing, is exponentially more impactful on you when it's more important, when it's something major in your life, when it comes to making money or creating opportunity or a career or something else that's tangible and is easy to understand the benefit from it, but maybe harder or more of that gray area to understand the negative side effects or connotations that can come with it if you aren't doing things at a high ethical standard. So again, I was asked this question on the Surviving Humanity podcast about having an unethical boss, a situation where I had to make an ethical decision. Again, go listen to that podcast. The story is hilarious. Actually, I had my boss that I had for a very short amount of time, and I quit over this ethical dilemma. It's a very funny story, and you'll appreciate it. But the moral of that story, and what I want to focus on here on the Saturday Morning Hustle, I only have so much time with you each and every week. I don't want to spend too much time telling that story, but I do want to tell you that decision in that day, because it was so outrageously bad, what they wanted me to do, it was easy to say no. But there still was some concern on my part. There's some trepidation. There was a pause. Should I refuse to go along with this very unethical practice? Or should I shut my mouth and keep my paycheck and keep these things going in all of these other ways and hope it worked out well for me. But in fact, I didn't. I made the right decision. I actually was offered a better job the same day by the same person that I was telling about the unethical situation that I'd left earlier in the day. Now, hindsight is 2020. That's part of the conversation I'm having with you today. It's easier for us when we're not under pressure and when we're looking back on situations to say, doing the right thing is always the right thing. When you're in the heat of the moment, when you're there trying to make that decision, when someone is looking at you saying, I want you to do this, and you need to give them a yes or no answer, you need to do it or refuse to do it and explain why, it can be very taxing. It can be very stressful. It can be hard to say no. It's very human of you to have an internal debate as to whether you should say no or not, even though you know it's unethical, immoral, and potentially illegal. Now, it's very easy to say no to illegal things, right? Hey, sell this cocaine. No, I'm not going to do that. Here, take this gun and shoot that person. No, I'm not going to do that. But, hey, how about we skim some numbers here and maybe change some things on this report where the boss will never know? Well, that's a gray area. It's harder to figure out if you want to do that or not. Let's come in late and let's leave early and let's cut some time off and the boss will never know. And who cares if they lose some money out of the deal? It's you and me, right, pal? Could be a little bit harder, a little bit more of a gray area. You don't want to upset your friend. You don't want to be thought of as too uptight, as a nerd, or even as a narc who's going to tell on everyone if they leave work early, right? But if you were the boss, if you were the business owner, you would appreciate someone who works the time that they're anticipating in working for the paycheck that they're anticipating. Or if you can't work that long, let your boss know and take a lesser paycheck. That's the right thing, the right move, the ethical decision. But again, it can be hard in the moment, which is why it's important to make a point to you today that every time I've been tasked with doing something immoral or unethical, when it's fallen into that gray area and I've refused to do it, the outcome was beneficial. I now have the hindsight of 2020. I now can tell you it always worked out better, sometimes worked out amazingly well in ways I could have never predicted by saying no to unethical opportunities, by sticking to doing things the right way. In fact, I can tell you with 100% clarity that your reputation and the relationships you create with other people, whether it's in business life or personal life, but these things are based on your ethics and on your decision making, what you do for them and what you expect from them and what they can expect from you and what you can do for them. These things, reputation and relationships, and having an ethical approach to business and personal life is more important, much more important than short money or temporary opportunity. I can also tell you that unethical situation, no one will ever know, we can just do this, we'll get away with it, typically does not turn out that way. You do get found out. What you have to do in order to cover up, it makes so much more extra work. It's not actually beneficial. All of those things are true. Staying away from the gray area, avoiding unethical decision making, avoiding things that you know are just not right is so much more beneficial. It will work out better. And ultimately, you just got to follow your gut. Call it your gut, the voice in the back of your head, your intuition. You call it whatever you want. Again, listen to it. When you think something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. And at the very least, it isn't right for you. And it is okay to say no. In fact, it's more than okay. Hopefully you will say no, because you need to put yourself in a better position with a better perspective, with better partners, with better collaborators in order to create better outcomes. Things that are shortcuts, things that are unethical, things that are in that gray area do not result in positive outcomes. Now, it may appear that way on the outside sometimes. People may be doing things that make it look like they're getting away with it, they're making more money than they should, that they're taking advantage of the situation, that they're getting over on the system. It may look that way from the outside. Trust me, it's not. Avoid it. Stay away from it. Keep your reputation high. Keep your relationships strong. Allow other people to trust in you. Allow them to believe that you will provide ethical decisions and ethical situations that they want to be a part of. Avoid the temptation of the easy money, the short money, the obvious gray area opportunity, and instead stick with your morals, stick with your ethics, put the bigger picture, the better win-win situation above that. And in the long run, everything not only works out better, works out tremendously more better and much more better than you could ever expect. It's very hard to get the stink off of you when you've crossed those lines and when you've done unethical things and when you have demonstrated a lack of ethical decision making. It's very, very hard to get that stink off of you. And the reverse, though, is being held in high regard, being someone of high ethic or moral value, being someone who makes the right decision, who is considerate of all the people around you and has a more of a big picture approach than the short money, the easy out, will always be seen as the person someone wants to work with, someone wants in their life, someone wants to associate with, they want to collaborate with, and they want to present the next great opportunity because you've earned your next shot at it by doing the right thing now, by saying no to the shortcut, to the gray area, to the unethical opportunity. Trust me on that. Once again, if you want to hear the story of a boss who asked me to create unethical advertising campaign, go check out the Surviving Humanity podcast. It's live now on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube for a great story about business ethics. You might be able to relate that to something you're doing in business and your personal life. Thanks for listening to the Saturday Morning Hustle. Stream and subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, share with a friend. I would appreciate it very much. Follow and engage on social media, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and the Saturday Morning Hustle fan page on Facebook. Don't ever miss an episode by subscribing. You can also check out the bonus balance series. We just wrapped up in January. 24 episodes of the balance series. That's also wherever you find great podcast. Don't forget, get your Saturday Morning Hustle Entrepreneur AF and Coffee and Donuts swag. All the info, all the past episodes, including the balance series, and the swag is at SaturdayMorningHustle.com. See you next week.